Morning everyone, and excited to be out in the fresh, crisp morning air. The temperatures are starting to reduce here in Victoria Falls. We're on the edge of the Zambezi River, and I'm here today with Tendai Mdluli. Tendai, good old friend, it's great to be here with you.
Morning, Luke.
Tendai is one of Zimbabwe's finest guides. Zimbabwe produces amazing guides, probably the toughest qualification for guiding in Africa. Tendai, why is it the toughest qualification?
Well, look, for a start, it's the amount of time it takes, because there is a different set of examinations that are actually set, and you're required to obviously go through that. And then also, being a profession where you get exposed to the dangerous game, you also need to be equipped with knowledge and expertise in terms of stopping these animals should there be a chance that would arise in terms of them wanting to attack you and your guests. So obviously we have to go through that in an intense way. I would say that should take you at least another 3 years before you actually attempt to go for your full license. Wow,
that is pretty intense. Now, as we arrive here this morning on the edge of the river, Tendai was straight away, had his guiding hat on. We're actually sitting in the middle of an elephant trail here, and there is a chance that these elephants could come down and have a morning drink, in which case Tendai said that we've got our strategy afoot, which is to kind of get behind the biggest tree over there and get out the way. So we've got our wits about us just in case that happens. Now, Tendai, you guys get up to a lot of mischief as well. I'm not telling you to reveal your most embarrassing stories to the camera, but what is maybe one of the funniest incidents that you've had as a guide? And I'm sure there have been plenty, but what one sort of springs to mind this morning?
Well, look, like you said, guides will always be guides, eh? And we used to say, or we still say, whatever happens on safari stays on safari. But there was this day, we had a group of guests going to the village. So I wore my camouflage attire, which were my pajamas. And then, so I drove to this site, obviously hit my car. And then when the game drive vehicles came through, so I stopped them, pretending to be a soldier. And I said to the guys, listen, all passports. And I tell you, look, it was funny, but also not very funny when I saw these ladies, especially the ladies, really shaking. And they were looking at their guide to say, why didn't you warn us about our passports? And the guy says, I completely forgot about this, but you do what he says. No passports, or ask them to get out of the vehicle. But eventually I was like, let me just tell them this is a joke. So I did. Fortunately, it was a vehicle full of bubbly guests, and they took that very positively. And when we got into camp, they actually got me back. And how they got me back was by sending a message to head office. And later on how he would respond. So immediately Ron and Keith, they played a prank on me. And then they actually asked me to come to head office, and they told me I had no job. So you can imagine being a family man, I'm like, okay, why did I even do this? But I would never forget that, eh?
Brilliant story, Tendai. And obviously, you mentioned Ron, the late Ron, who we pay homage to today, and Keith Vincent. So we're talking about wilderness safaris. You can see from Tendai's shirt that he's got Wilderness Safaris logo on there. Now, Tendai, you've been with Wilderness for, am I right, 24 years? And that's where you started your guiding career as well.
That's right.
It must be pretty special being with a company for that long. If you had to choose your favorite camp at Wilderness, which would it be? And I'm hoping it's here in Zimbabwe, because we're Zimbabweans, right?
Definitely. I love Linkwasha. Okay, Linkwasha camp, look, I know you've been there. Just the location. This beautiful open flare line. And as you know, it's literally like 10 minutes away from the famous Ngamo Plains. You talk of your predators, because they get attracted there by a lot of your plains game. There's a lot of zebra, because there's plentiful couch grass. There's a lot of impala, eland, and obviously other herbivores like your kudu and stuff. So it is a place where it's full of action. I was actually there last week, and within 1 hour, To be honest with you, what we saw there, apart from the rhino, we had all the big four of the big five.
Yeah. Well, I can certainly back Tendai up there. Linkwasha is an amazing camp, and Ngamo is, it's probably among the best wildlife spots in Africa. I just want to talk a little bit about conservation. Now, we've come through a year now of this pandemic. Can you tell us your feelings on conservation and the ethos at wilderness?
Yeah, look, it's obviously been a big challenge, especially from the countryside, where people within the areas where we operate. I'll give you an example. Ngamo, they're literally just outside the park, and they were directly benefiting from tourism, from apart from jobs, which they still have right now. But they would also sell a lot of produces to the travelers each time when they visited the village. So they still had an income, and we've continued to support our anti-poaching unit by obviously increasing the patrols within our area, and then also continued with the game water supply, and that way it will obviously stop the animals from moving out of the park in search of water. And then also when it comes to programs like Children in the Wilderness, which I'm sure you know about as well. As you know, from March to April 2020, basically schools were closed down. But as a company, we came up with other means and ways to try and reach out to the school kids. Obviously with things like WhatsApp, and then also that would supply data or airtime, to the students, and also even supply them with gadgets like smartphones and also laptops. So we also embarked on a huge feeding scheme. In terms of figures, we're sitting close to $317,000 that we've actually used from March last year to February 2021, and with that, the figures, we also split them on water to supply clean water, obviously by providing boreholes and also resuscitating other boreholes, and then also medical. We also help in terms of moving nurses from one point to the other so that they can reach out to the communities.
Wow, Tendai, it means a lot to hear the amount of work that you guys are doing. And as you say, it's not just about wildlife. This is about the communities.
Exactly.
And the two partner together. And if we protect our resources, this could very well become the most valuable resource financially. From what I'm seeing in the lead up to COP26 and COP16, two major conferences on biodiversity and climate change this year, there is a possibility that wildlife, ecology, biodiversity could be given value, financial value, that could make Africa a very, very rich place, if it wasn't already. Tendai, it's been amazing always chatting to you. One thing we didn't tell you is that as part of the guiding qualification, they have superhuman strength. And so, as you can see, he's struggling to keep those muscles from bulging out of his shirt. Tendai, thanks very much.
Thanks a lot,
cheers, and let's enjoy this beautiful sunrise. If you like this episode and don't want to miss out on other ones, please go to YouTube, look for Luke Brown Zim, and hit the subscribe button. Thanks.